Welcome to the Hobby Jogger podcast, where elite athletes and ham and eggers lace up their stories. We explore the common ground that running creates, from the world-class runner to the hobbyist hitting the pavement, trail, or treadmill. Expect a blend of inspiration, laughter, and the shared joy that makes every step count. Join us on this journey where every run is a story worth sharing. Thank you for joining this episode of the Hobby Jogger. Welcome back, everyone. I am once again joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Myers. Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing well today. I'm looking forward to talking to somebody that's very close to you and that you're very close with.
That would be very accurate, Rob. Yes, I am. We do have a guest on who is very close to me, both living wise and just as a friend. She is my friend. She's also a mom. She's a runner, now certified trail runner. On to the show, episode 54's guest, Grace Myers. Grace, how are you doing this wonderful evening here in Akron, Ohio?
Hello, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen you last.
I know, right? Yes, we are very close in proximity here with nearly a shared driveway.
Yes.
And I just have to say to the audience, no relation. Even though our last names are spelled the same, no relation.
Yes, spelled correctly, might I add.
Yes.
Yes, no relationship between Rob and Grace. Well, I guess it would be Bill, your husband would be the provider of the Myers name. So yeah, no relationship there either. But yeah, thank you so much for taking time. I know with 3 little ones, they do keep you very busy. I get to experience that on a daily basis.
Yes.
And thanks to your mom for bringing me a cinnamon bun today.
I know, yeah. It was just a really good day for us. Coffee, cinnamon buns.
It's good over here. You eat well on Portage Drive, Rob.
Sounds like it.
We're going to cut the address part out, though. We don't, although we talk about the beer mile enough that I think people have figured it out now. I've doxed myself.
I don't think it's on Ultra sign up yet, though, right? So I can't find it.
Well, with the outpouring of people that wanted to run it this year, I might have to put it on Ultra sign up.
That's so crazy. I am not brave enough to participate in the beer mile. So
well, you participated a year, didn't you?
Not as a full. I can't do the beer every lap, the 4 beers thing. I'm too scared. I have like a lifelong fear of throwing up. So
well, you win an award if you do that.
I know. It's an award I guess I just don't want.
Well, maybe we'll work on that for next year. We'll get the stomach volume.
Make me less afraid of vomiting.
Yeah. So you are, my neighbor, obviously, and you've been running a long time, Grace, right?
Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. You told me 20 years. I thought you were like 25, 26. I wasn't sure. So
how is that possible? Yes.
Oh, and one thing I should have mentioned in the intro that I didn't, Rob, is Grace is a member of the former champion of the Burning River co-ed relay team.
I believe the story there is during COVID, you saw me like doing kettlebell swings or something ridiculous on my porch as we were one to do during the COVID era. And you assumed like, man, maybe she'd be interested in running this. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's how you became like, I guess, into our running group is, dude, Rob, she was out there just crushing kettlebell workouts. And,
I love it.
Yeah, we needed someone. And I was like, hey, Grace, do you run by any chance? Yeah, it turns out, she does run quite a bit. You had qualified for Boston, correct, Grace?
So there's a bit of a story behind that. So that year I qualified for Boston. I'm trying to remember the timetable with the Akron Marathon that year.
Which is not an easy marathon to qualify for Boston in.
Exactly. So I qualified for it, but then they had to do that whole readjusting thing that they do at Boston, which I can't quite remember the terminology for it. And then with that new adjustment, with my time, I missed it by literally 1 single second.
What?
Yes. So that was like crushing. But then a period of, I can't remember how long later, it was like 2 months or so. It was like I got over that devastation of the 1 second, which could have been, anything. Like 1 second. How could you make that up? So I got an email from the Sam Adams beer company, like someone on their PR team. And they said that we have a small set of bibs. They would never give me the full details, but I think they had like a small set of bibs they offered to people that missed by 1 literal second. And so I was given a bib to Boston for that. So technically, I did not qualify, but I missed by 1 second. So in an effort to save everyone the long drawn out story, that I say I qualified for Boston.
Well, Grace, we got to cover 45 minutes an hour here. So we like long drawn out stories here at the Hobby Jogger.
So yes, the Sam Adams Beer Company got me a bib. And as bad luck would turn out, that was the COVID year. So that was the year they canceled Boston. And they allowed us to run it virtually. So actually my marathon count is technically 6 because I planned a 26.2 mile route around here to be able to get my Boston medal, which they sent me in the mail.
So you got into Boston and you were a sponsored athlete. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's generous, but yeah.
Did they send any free beer?
They sent me a beer opener, a glass, a shirt. I think those were the swag. It was pretty good swag.
Dude, that's full-blown sponsorship by trail running standards.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I didn't realize that you had run that many marathons, I guess.
Mm.
What was your first marathon? Was it all around Akron?
Yeah, I did 2 Clevelands, 2 Akrons, 1 Columbus. And then the one I planned on my own around here.
Nice. I didn't realize that you had run. I thought you just had one. You just ran the one and qualified, which I call that a qualification. Don't you, Rob?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You got a t-shirt from Sam Adams.
I got a t-shirt.
That's pretty cool.
1 second.
That's more than qualified. You got into Boston. You had a really cool sponsor. That sounds like the perfect story.
That's a great story. Yeah, 1 second's brutal. So to go back just a little bit, I guess we'll come back to the marathon thing, but how did you start out running? Because I know you went to a small school. I don't know if there was, what the sports scene was like where you went, but how did you start out running as a kid, a young adult?
So I think I was 13 or 14, and it just honestly felt like a fun thing to do. And my parents have about an acre of land. And at that age, they didn't want me running on the road. And so I started just like running loops in the yard. And eventually, they were like, okay, well, she's outrun this yard. So they allowed me a little more space. And yeah, it was all just like self-driven from 13 until my senior year of high school, when the cross-country coach, a really awesome guy named George Hallis, he at the small high school I went to, it was a small high school, but it was a really solid cross-country team. Like they had won states, I think, several years in a row. Somehow him and a combination of some of my classmates convinced me to join that senior year. And so that was the 1 year of high school or collegiate athletics I ever participated in. And it was a lot of fun, but I was always just I was into just doing it for myself and for the challenge of it. And I just started joining half marathons. I think I mentioned the first race I ever ran, May of 2006. It was a 5-mile race in the Cuyahoga Valley Park. And that kind of just lit the fire in me to keep wanting to find races. So
let's go back to when you were a senior and you ran cross country, because I feel like you might be just being a little bit nice about how good you were, because I feel like I know the school, and actually a number of kids from the school follow me. They're super fast. So it is definitely a running school. How did you do your senior year?
I was always just on the cusp of the 7th girl. Me and one other girl were always going back and forth of the 7 who would go to states. And unfortunately, I was brought as an alternate, but I just nearly missed being able to make the state team for states. So.
Gotcha. And that was making your team. I feel like whatever times you were running then was probably pretty good in high school, because
I wish I could remember. I assume they were pretty decent because it was a stacked team. The two top girls were so out of this world. Okay. So to be anywhere close to their orbit was kind of it felt crazy. So yes, I was probably a fairly speedy high schooler.
Remember, Grace, you're on the Hobby Jogger. I'm sure you're fast.
Yeah, I think she's being humble. Just knowing the history of the school, I do know a couple runners from there, and they are extremely fast high school. Like running is, I feel like, part of their culture there, and they
Mhm.
maybe recruit. I don't know.
They would say they don't.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is drawn, people are drawn to them. Coach Hallis was, I mean, he was a next level coach. He was just like a really good guy. My dad always joked that like if you were in like central casting for a high school cross country coach, he would be the guy you cast. He looked it, he acted it, he never believed in yelling at his runners. He just like treated us with respect, and that respect was given in return. And we all just like, we wanted to work hard for him and with him. So it was just, it was a great 1 year experience for me, honestly.
Nice. And I think that's very important, especially in running, to have that kind of experience, a good experience, because I've seen some bad coaches that,
Oh yeah.
and especially for girls, I know should never tell a 16-year-old girl they need to lose a couple pounds because they'll be faster.
Exactly. Oh, it could get so toxic so fast. And he was so far from that.
Good. And that's probably why he's successful, and parents don't get recruited to go there. They just willingly go there.
Exactly. He can be trusted. Your previous guest, Connie Gardner, most certainly, like I've talked to her before about him. They both worked at Second Soul together, the running apparel store here in the Valley. So yeah, he's a cool guy. If you ever have the chance to meet him, you'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Rob, I think maybe we got another guest.
Oh, he would be so cool. Yeah.
It'd be awesome to have a great high school, because it's yeah, I'd really like to discuss that with him, how you keep kids, because running is seen as like a punishment in most sports in high school. It's not, I guess, the cool, sexy sport, although I think it's coming around to be that, but certainly has to be tough to get a 15-year-old kid to want to run a 5K as fast as they can. And
Yeah.
I didn't do that in high school. Did you? You didn't run in high school, I know, Rob, right?
No, I didn't. It's amazing how you'll give that little extra when you have a good coach, regardless of the sport. You'll push yourself just a little bit harder when you have a good coach.
Mm-hmm. And those girls outside of the top 7, they felt so like, it wasn't like they were an afterthought then to him. Like he had some real stars on that team, in the first 2 girls in particular. But he made the whole team feel like a team. It was just a great experience. Everyone mattered to him.
You have this coach who, George Hallis, definitely going to need to have him on, and clearly made a lasting impression that made you really enjoy running. And you didn't run in college, correct?
No.
Were you asked to run in college?
I was.
Yes. Why? So just didn't want to, or
didn't want to, just didn't. It was so just like kind of a self-motivated, enjoyable thing. And even then I could kind of feel like what I got at CVCA, the high school I went to, was lightning in a bottle with him. And everyone, like the collegiate team I could have been part of, seemed great. But I think, I have no regrets about that. I will say one thing that he instilled in us then that was never something that was part of running for me, that changed everything for me, like just till this day, is strength training. So he had I remember he had us hit the gym one day, and it wasn't like, again, he wasn't like a taskmaster, but like we had to like hit this gym, and I was like, gosh, this is a nightmare. And man, like it changed my posture, it improved my running, it did everything. And I like still carry that through to today. So that was a big thing he gave me from that season.
that's why she's out there blasting kettlebell workouts, Rob.
There you go.
It's amazing how often strength training comes up on this podcast. I say we probably average every 3rd guest brings up strength training and how important it is. I mean, regardless if they're just a hobby jogger like Casey and I, or if they do something for a living, if they're a nutrition coach, running coach, I mean, they always bring it up and just double down on how important it is.
I remember like my arms would always feel like heavy. Like they were like, I don't know, there were just like all these things that would like get in the way while I was running. And then once I like strengthened them, they just became non-issues. And I was just like, oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah, especially your back and core. I feel like I could tell a massive difference, because I do now. Like my posture throughout a longer run it stays good. I don't get the hunched over and bad form.
Yeah.
So it keeps my form better. And Rob, I do know for sure that there was one elite runner that
has now started focusing, not because of this podcast, but has now started focusing on strength training that we are familiar with. So can't give away any secrets, but they might have asked their brother for some strength workouts. We're not going to say who it is, though.
I have no clue who that could be.
Nope. You've never met them, don't know them, but yeah. So it does. It's super important. We've talked about that ad nauseum here at the Hobby Jogger, and it just makes it more enjoyable because I recover much faster too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you go to the gym quite a bit, I know, Grace, right?
I've had to kind of make it more of an at-home thing, but we've stocked it up enough that yes, yeah.
But really, you can, with in whatever weight you need, obviously you're going to be different than me and I'm going to be different than Rob, but a kettlebell can give you just an all-around great workout in a half hour, and that's pretty much all you need. So yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, not how I met you. Obviously, I met you just because you moved next door, but I was like, okay, she works out, and that's obviously an important thing to you, and aside from running, but it obviously Coach Hallis was ahead of his time because it hasn't become popular in running until fairly recently. A couple guests that we've had on have, we're kind of at the forefront of that. I feel like, and yeah, it's good to see. So you run the race in the valley, the spring race,
Spring Fever,
a now defunct race.
5-miler.
Yeah. What was your next race after that? What did you step up to?
Honestly, and this is kind of a big thing with me. Times, races, they all kind of just jumble together. So yeah, I would pick up some 5-milers or 5Ks through those years. And then I believe it was my junior year of high school. I ran my first junior year. I think it was my junior year of high school. I ran my first half marathon, the Cleveland half marathon.
Oh, you ran a half marathon in high school?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. I was either my junior or senior year, but yeah, one of the two. So yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good for a girl not even on the cross country team. Just running around her yard.
Yep. It must have been following right before I went to college. Yeah, that's what it was.
Gotcha.
So it was I graduated from high school and then I ran the half marathon.
Okay. So you started running some half marathons. You ran a few of those, I imagine, before you stepped up to the marathon.
Yes.
I know this is one thing we always, I guess, kind of just what makes someone, you're running in high school, you're not running in college, but you just want to run 26.2 miles. What made you want to do that? I
don't know. There's something about like endurance work. There's something about grinding it out. I just I like the mindset. I can't explain it. Like the idea of running always just sounded like a lot of fun to me. And yeah, I don't know. I can't even properly describe it. It was just yeah, this feels like a fun thing to do. And I had no training partners. Like my parents aren't runners. I was just solo.
Just went out there solo, and you don't use Strava. Correct me if I'm wrong, but up until recently, you didn't even GPS runs, correct?
No, there was a watch I had a watch in there somewhere, but yeah, those early ones, I just a map, or I would drive the route before I'd run it. Use the car.
Rob, she is an analog player in a digital world.
I'm pretty low tech.
I just got an image of you with a paper map, running around the neighborhood, unfolding it.
A compass. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, when you signed up, I was like, oh, let me check her out on Strava. No Strava. Oh, okay. And then you came running with us and you had a Casio watch on, I think.
Yeah, if even, yeah.
At least keep track of how long you've been out in the woods. But that probably keeps it, I know we've talked about it because you now have, you've upgraded your watch and you get lost in the details and you get lost in the, my watch basically tells me every day I need a rest day. Oh, it's Tuesday, time to rest. And so you probably get lost in that and just go how the body feels. But yeah, I think that's, you get lost in the details. How did you train when you qualified or didn't qualify for Boston, I guess. How did you train for that? Because you're the only guest I've had on that doesn't use GPS, doesn't use, well, now you do, but you didn't then. So what did you, just based on feel? Did you look at anything on the internet, or did you just go out and just run every day? Because
I would use, your classic, your Hal Higdon, basic framework for what you need to do. By the time that Akron marathon, I think that might have been my 5th marathon. And I was getting tired of I loved race day. I loved those 26.2 miles out there, but like I was getting a little tired of 18 miles by myself on some random Saturday kind of thing. So I admittedly, and I would never advise this, I like undertrained for that marathon, and I was feeling it that day, but there was a pacer who it was like I mind over mattered it that day. So like that was physically not my strongest race, but mentally I was just out there to like, I was determined, and I got that really good pacer who helped me out. And yeah, so no, it wasn't. I think I tried to go heavier. I remember like as we were getting closer to the day, I was just like, okay, let's do some good strength work so that like, your foundation is strong so we don't horrifically injure ourselves here. But like my body at that point in time, after 5 marathons, like I knew the rodeo. I knew my limits. So yeah, it was just kind of like I went out there and tried my best.
did you use any modern fueling techniques for that?
This is like the worst. So yeah, this is where I'm like crazy, because like it isn't until recently that I started like with a goo or something like that. So I would be out there 26 miles. I wouldn't take a goo. I wouldn't even take anything. And now I think my age has caught up to me a little, and that like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So like I would wake up in the morning, I'd eat a banana, I'd eat some peanut butter on toast, drink a little bit of coffee. I was always well hydrated. I always had a big spaghetti dinner the night before.
Well, at least you covered that base. That's
Yes. I was good about the pre, but like the during, I was always just like, hey, we'll figure it out. And so I never bonked, but like in a race, but it certainly could have helped me. I certainly could have gotten that 1 single second back if I had maybe taken a goo. Like,
so you qualified for Boston. I can't wait to tell Will this. You qualified for Boston without how many calories? Because you might have had like a sports drink at the water stop. So that's like 4 calories. You had no calories during the marathon.
Hey folks, if you're loving the stories, tips, and laughs we're dishing out, make sure you don't miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button so you're the first to know when a new episode drops. And hey, if you've got a second, why not leave us a review? Your feedback helps us improve and keeps this running community growing. Lace up, hit subscribe, and let's get back into the show.
I mean, maybe on the off chance of that day, I was like, there was a goo and I took it, but like, I doubt I finished it.
So you might have had like a part of a goo then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rob, what do you think about this development? I don't know. It doesn't sound like enough calories. I mean, it's an understatement, but geez.
Yes, it was not enough calories. Like confirmed.
Yeah, going forward, you've probably left a lot of room for improvement. I know we had Abby Herring on the show a while back, and that was one thing that, she took seriously was the in-race fueling. She ended up, running a last 5K in, I don't know, some ridiculous like 18 minutes or something of Boston. So I can tell you, Grace, just from the amount of guests we've had on the show, in-race fueling is very important. Yes. So we have that to...
Yes. I'm aware of this now. I would not advise anyone to do what I have ever done.
and I did know the answer to... I didn't realize the extent that you had done that. So it's actually a very remarkable accomplishment, I think. And I would advise everyone listening not to do what Grace did to qualify for Boston.
And again, I don't think now age post 3 children, I like that I could do it. Like I know the value of in-race fueling from my own experience now, at a variety of distances. And yes, I would absolutely advise fuel yourself.
Yes, I would advise everyone and you to fuel yourself for your next, even long run. It does help. It certainly helps out. I know Amy, the dietitian, gave me the advice. Hey, if you have something that you haven't eaten yet and you're still out, eat it because it helps towards your recovery. So, you had mentioned it postpartum. What has it been like running as a mom of 3? How do you handle that?
Well, the first thing I would say is that I'm very lucky in that my spouse is not a runner. So I don't have to, there's no negotiating over who gets to go for a run when. So just a hot tip for any young runners out there looking for a partner. I know it sounds good that they'll run with you, but you never know, ways down the line, a few kids in, you're negotiating for your Saturday morning run. It's no fun. So that helps me. I have a very supportive partner who's making that happen. I've always been a morning runner. I could get out there. It's a little harder for me now, just in general, the motivation, but I could always get out there pretty early. So that helps beforehand. So just logistically speaking, I kind of can figure that out. I have 3 kids. They have all done many a mile in the Bob stroller that I just figured out today needs a brand new tire. It has served us across 3, and I just need to replace the tire. So
You wore the tire out of your running stroller.
yes. So yes, I've done the stroller miles. Stroller miles are tough. There's no way around it. I've done double stroller miles. That's even more ridiculous. I retired that pretty quickly, but I can do a pretty good, legit workout, with a kid in a stroller. And then, the rest is just planning it out and getting out there and doing it. And then the fun of it. And I always kind of imagined, I always wanted kids, and I kind of looked forward to the idea of one day sharing this hobby with them, and it has been as fun as I imagined. They're cool. They get the race atmosphere. They understand. It's just fun to watch them get excited. It's fun to watch them cheer on not only myself but other people we know, or just other people in general. And it's just it's a fun thing.
They motivated me out of the chair at Canal Corridor last year when you guys showed up. So yeah, it's tough to disappoint those 3,
Yeah, exactly.
Could certainly understand it. Rob, did you ever do any stroller miles?
No, that's before I was a runner, when my son was young.
Okay.
Did you ever sign up for a race and take the stroller, Grace?
With the stroller, no.
Okay. Imagine that would be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, this past weekend we saw a stroller runner, a mom in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's very hilly, and she was going down the hill. Looked okay, hopefully there was brakes on the thing, so it's a little bit steep. Then we saw her going back up the hill, and it was hot, and good for her for getting out there. Yeah,
who needs a weight vest, Casey?
No, it adds, and it does. It helps. It's helped with the training.
Oh, for sure, builds your legs up. I mean, it's anytime you're having to move more weight, it's going to be a better workout. So yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's the hack in general. Even if you don't have kids, just buy a stroller, throw some weights in there, and take off.
You can get them really cheap on Facebook Marketplace. So
yeah, because I guess once
there you go.
Are you still using Sean's old one?
That was the double. That double, the brand is Bob. The double Bob, it is just a beast. And it's a ridiculous running experience with 2 kids in that monstrosity of a stroller. It's great for an event. It's great for a walk. Relative to running, it's the single all the way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a little bit too much weight.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a mom running. I guess we'll talk about it. You had an incident, terrible incident, but I'm going to let you tell it because you said you wanted to discuss it.
It's kind of there's all these pieces to my running story, and it feels impossible to avoid this piece of it. So yes, a little over a year ago, I went, got ready, went out for my running run by myself, thank God. And I was about to start my run. I went into a bathroom. I exited the bathroom. I was about to start running, and someone came up behind me and assaulted me. It the part of it as I like think back on it often, I think in that moment, it was kind of like my brain said, well, you kind of always thought this would happen. So get to work. Like you knew this was going to happen eventually, which is a horrible thing to have to think, but it was. I've been out here running largely by myself for all these years. And no, it isn't an inevitability, obviously, for most people, but like that was most certainly, it's always been a thought in the back of my head. Like what could happen, how to stay aware. And yes, it was something I had to come to terms with. I was incredibly lucky in that my calls for help were heard, and a group of 3 women 60 and older found me, believed that I didn't know this gentleman, that he was trying to convince them that I knew him. And he wouldn't let go of me. And eventually one of them struck him with a rock and he let go of me. And then police and paramedics and everyone showed up.
Just still so sorry that happened, hearing about it. And it, I think a lot of times it just doesn't, when you don't have it happen to someone close to you, you don't understand it or see how real it is. And, it definitely made it real to me of what you had to endure, obviously being your neighbor and us being such good friends. And yeah, it was heartbreaking. I'm just glad that you're still out there running. And because I could see, and I know we had went running after that, our group, and I think you told Kim, like, I don't want this to ruin running for me. I don't want it to be, something that takes this. I don't want to lose this because of this incident. And I'm happy that, you're still running, and, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I know, didn't really even know how to bring it up just because it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure it's so hard. And
there's like no good words that anyone can say. And like, and for me, it's, different from person to person, I'm sure, victim to victim, but I appreciate it being acknowledged. And that has been helpful to me, the support of people just like checking in and understanding. Casey, like seriously, like the memories I have of that day of like people who just like came to like check on us and care for us. At that point in time, I had a 5-month-old baby and I think she was 3. No, was she 3 at that point? Yeah, she was 3 years old. There was a 6-month-old baby, 5-month-old baby, and 3-year-old. And Casey had heard for the previous 5 months of that child's life, Casey had heard nothing but screaming out of that baby. And the first person I called was my husband, Bill, and he immediately was like, I'm on my way. And he contacted Casey, and Casey dropped everything and was just like, took said screaming baby, no questions asked, and was just like there for us. And that's like left a huge impression on us.
That's it. I'll never forget that day. It definitely impacted me as well. For sure. I mean, obviously not the same degree you did, like not even saying, oh, me as well. But yeah, like just, I remember Bill calling, like, why is Bill calling me? That's not good. I was in the middle of a meeting for work and I was like, that's not good. My neighbor's calling me. So I just like turned the meeting off and he told me, and I went back into the work meeting and I was like, hey guys, I got to leave for a little bit. Something happened, and they were very understanding, and thankfully for that, they were great people at that company. So can't say enough about them, but yeah, just coming over, it's like, I don't know what to do. Like I have this screaming child that's, but he was very well behaved that day, which
he held it. I think he knew.
Yeah.
He needed to hold it together.
Yeah. And Olive, she's wonderful and was as well behaved as she can be. So yeah, I just, you had mentioned that you wanted to talk about it, and now I'm fumbling around with words because it's,
Yeah, then that's okay.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though. I mean, I think I'm right by Casey's reaction. Like, you try to find the words. It's awful. Like, I have 2 sisters. I can put my brother hat on. I mean, obviously I'm married. I can think about it from, that happening to my wife, who's also a runner. I mean, it's awful. I mean, so afterwards, after you kind of process, I'm trying to think, what would be the first thing I'd think? Like, do I start taking jujitsu classes? Like, am I carrying a piece with me from now on? Like pepper spray? What am I doing? Bear spray? Step it up. So, I mean, after the processing, and I'm sure you still think about that often, like, is it just go back to running as usual? Or I don't know. I'm grasping for words now. It's just such a terrible incident.
There's like a lot of things. So there's a lot of places I won't go by myself anymore. I won't and it's a shame because like I won't go into the woods by myself anymore. There's just too much there. Maybe I'll get there one day eventually, but now I'm looking for a buddy if I'm going to do any sort of trail running, which is unfortunate, but it just kind of is what it is for now. And the hardest thing for me is, there's a lot of voices that come into conversations like this about, this is why, you need to conceal and carry or have pepper spray or any of those things. And if that works for people, then more power to them. For me in that moment, the way it happened and how fast it wasn't that simple. The level of marksmanship I would have had to have had in that moment, I didn't have, and I think would probably take a lot of practice to get to that point. So, I kind of wrestle with what I need to do best to protect myself in those situations. I've never worn, ear pods or any sort of headphone while I've run. So I've always been aware of my surroundings, but that's the thing. You can give people all the best advice in the world, but sometimes, luck runs out. Yeah, it's hard. And that's the thing. Like, listen to me. I barely know what to say. So you guys don't need to worry about having the right words. And I really appreciate, just the support and understanding in it. But yeah, I didn't want running to end for me. That was for sure. And I got back to it pretty quick, but it's different. And I'm more on edge, and it's just kind of one day at a time with it.
I think it's perfectly understandable to want a buddy, though. You're going into the woods. I mean, depending on the woods, and we've been out in the middle of nowhere on some of these trail races.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I had somebody with me. Like, is there bears out there? Is there somebody around the corner that standing there with a baseball bat or what?
Exactly.
So, that shows how strong you are. The fact that you got back out there.
It just was so part of who I was, and I don't know. It just how I process best is to not I didn't want to feel completely different than who I was. I've got these like small people who depend on me, and I couldn't, it was so important to me that it didn't completely alter my life in a way that I wasn't the same person that they had always known. I didn't want that taken from me as well.
You can't beat mom strength. You can't do
it. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it helped me that day. There was something to me that and that's the thing. I didn't even know what I had in me until I was put, unfortunately, in a bad situation. So, yeah, there was like a certain level of like strength that came out of it, and that like, okay, I had it in me. I had some fight in me. So,
good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, happy you're back at it. Doing something you enjoy, and that you were, I guess, physically okay afterwards. You weren't great. You weren't like healthy, but you were physically, you're physically okay and mentally okay, not beyond.
I think the surprising part for me is that like the toll it took for me, and again, it's different for everybody. It's just like, my body remembers, if that makes sense. It's an interesting, like psychosomatic thing. And I think running, it kind of like goes in part with running. It's just kind of like your body, my body remembers it. Just like it remembered like how I could get out there and run a marathon, not a lot of training. Your body remembers it. And so, yeah, it's not like it's not so much as a very present physical thing for me as like, it literally feels like the muscles and joints and parts of my body just react to it every now and again. And it's still kind of an ongoing thing, just within the court system as well. So I have to kind of revisit it more often than I'd probably love in that regard. So, it's just kind of processing through that.
Yeah. I can't imagine that having to always, especially with the way the court system works, always having to bring it back up. And, you go on your neighbor's podcast and have to bring it back up is...
I said I wanted to bring it up here.
I know you did.
And because because it's important, because women, what I've learned through this also is that so many, mostly women, have had experiences like this in one way or another, whether it's just someone who like made them uncomfortable or whether it was an actual like physical altercation of some sort. Like so many women have dealt with it in so many degrees, and it's just like a hard thing. And I have a friend who isn't a runner, but she's always in going through this with me. She's always frustrated and seeing in the dialogue that like, well, women shouldn't run alone. And it's like, well, why is it their fault? Like, like it's like we have to somehow then it becomes another thing to blame people for rather than I don't know, figuring out a way to take better accountability for the root of the issue.
Certainly your incident has made me more aware. I know, when I go out, I keep my eyes open for things that I see that are off so that maybe I can warn someone or, so it certainly has opened up my eyes because before that, I guess I didn't pay much attention. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say I didn't pay much attention to it, but when it affects you personally, it has a whole different effect on your outlook of, the way you see things. When I go run in the valley, I just look at things different now. So yeah, it's definitely impacted me as well, but obviously not how it has impacted you.
No, it like that ripple effect. That's like one of the things that kind of weigh on me. Just the shattering, the like that I shattered. I didn't, but someone else did with me involved. Like shattered a lot of people's realities. And it's a good thing to have to, to just be extra cautious or to look out more for other people. But yeah, that's a hard part for me. Like,
yeah,
the people I care about also had to be like, gosh, okay, I have to come to terms with this. I have to process this.
And make no mistake, you did absolutely nothing wrong that day. There was nothing that you did. It was all of the, I guess we have to say, alleged perpetrator. So, yeah. And again, I thank you so much for sharing that. You talked about it perfectly. And yeah, it's tough for me to talk about because I don't know what to say. And it's, Rob will tell you I'm not very often at a loss for words. And I mean, that, but yeah, I'm glad you did that. And hopefully it's just a story of, to other women, hey, be aware. And, if you're like Rob and I were just hobby joggers, you can be aware too. If you see something, just, say something.
That is so huge. Just like keeping an eye out. And yeah, again, I always, particularly, men for women who are on their own, just like you described a story recently of yourself, Casey, just like you were keeping your distance. You weren't trying to impose yourself on any situation. You were just keeping an eye. And that's like, I think that's huge,
Yeah. And I didn't like say or do anything. I felt that there was a situation that I was a little uncomfortable with. And I just pretended to tie my shoe. I just waited. Really, I just stood there and waited on the trail until I felt that she was past a person that I didn't feel that was a normal person where I run every day. So yeah, it's early morning and I just took it upon myself. I don't think, Grace, without what happened to you, I don't know that I would have done that. I don't think I would have been aware enough. And not to thank you for that clearly, but just to just my experience of that just changed my outlook on the situation. And yeah, I encourage people, if you see something that you feel, we all run at basically the same places. We know the crowds that are there. We know who belongs, who doesn't belong. You see something that doesn't belong, hang out near them, and they're probably going to go somewhere else
that's exactly it. If we can all just kind of watch out for each other, then it becomes more of a, that's a small step in the right direction of not like women need to change everything about how they run just to protect themselves. Like, no, well, maybe we just like get out of our own little bubble a little bit and keep an eye out for each other. And maybe that can help.
Yeah. Be hyper aware of your surroundings. There's evil in this world, but don't let that stop you from enjoying this world. And I'm going to create the Grace Strong bracelets and start passing them out.
Yeah. I was like a super fearful little kid for like no reason. I was just always like, I ran high anxiety wise and I didn't want my kids to be the same way. And so then this happened and I'm like, okay, well now it would be easy for me to kind of like double down into that. And I didn't want that for them. So yeah, and that's that balance of teaching them how to not be afraid, but to be aware. And, it's tough. It's tough for adults. It's tough for kids.
And I know just in running, you're certainly not fearful. You recently went out to Laurel Highlands with us and participated in the relay, took on the first 11 miles. So Yeah, you are a strong person for sure. Like you're not scared of hard things. You're very brave and you know, you're definitely resilient. So
I think that's the Pollock in me. I go back to it time and time again.
it's definitely the Pollock in you for sure.
I think there's something to it,
Yeah, there's a lot of stubbornness in the Pollock gene. So
Yes, there's some bad to it. Okay,
yeah.
sure. Yeah, we could go there if we want. But there's also, the hardiness,
Oh yeah. Yep. There.
Our people, we're strong.
So what's next for you, Grace? What do you have anything running wise on the menu? I know
Oh,
you've kicked around ideas of some things, and I haven't talked to you in a while about it. We usually have other things to discuss rather than running. So what's next for you?
I mean, I've been around enough of these ultra runners now that I'm noodling with like a 50K maybe to start. So that's a thought I'm having. Maybe for
You did crush the first 11 miles of the Laurel Highlands Trail, which is not easy. We usually have a tough time finding someone to run that leg of the relay. And you're just like, yeah, sign me up. And then you told me afterwards, oh, I like going up the hills. That's fun, which is.
Yeah. I feel out of control on a downhill. There's probably some training I bet I need to better feel, but like I'm not one to, haul on a downhill. So I feel very in control on an uphill. I can get into a rhythm. I love an uphill. I mean, come on. Like, what's not to love?
Well, except the going up the hill part is.
What's not to love about
Yeah, the up
feeling
is the
like your
problem.
lungs are about to come out of your mouth? Like,
all right, so we got a 50K on tap. We'll go over the fueling strategy. We'll bring Will out. We'll get a whole, maybe we'll have him with the whiteboard.
yes.
We'll go over that a little bit. I think maybe would help. So
I have the right people in my arsenal now to like prepare me best for this.
you do. So any particular 50Ks that you've looked at?
No, I mean, like after like doing that first leg of Laurel Highlands and I heard about you guys told me more about the rest of the race. I was like, this could be fun to just ride it out, ride out the rest.
Riding the storm out, Rob.
Is there a 50K you guys would recommend?
There's plenty, but I'll let Casey recommend the first one.
I would have recommended Laurel Highlands for sure, because if you enjoyed the first 11 miles, you're really gonna like the last 20.
So my personal favorite, which is a little over 50K, is Highland Sky
Yeah.
in West Virginia. It's 42 and a half miles. Still the most beautiful terrain. Laurel's a close second, very close second. But I've done Highland Sky twice, and that's my favorite.
Okay. What time of year is that?
Week after Laurel Highlands.
Yeah. Well, they just moved it. Now it's the same week as Laurel, which is why I didn't run it last year. We went to Laurel instead.
Who planned that? That feels like poor planning.
I know. I'm so upset. I wanted to run both. Oh well, I had to pick one.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. I'm sure we'll have a big group out there next year, as we usually do. So I'll be bugging you to sign up for the 50K as soon as the entry opens up. But I wanted to ask, because I know it's important, and especially with your situation, there's a movement to get more women involved in trail running. Is there any advice like you would give someone that is a road runner? You ran a bunch of marathons to then come over into run a trail race. Is there anything, particularly from your point of view, that you would say to a woman thinking of doing that?
Trails are there's just like something so freeing about them. The road for me, it's like you kind of found me at the right time with Burning River, and that like the road, it starts to feel heavy, it becomes a slog. I had been doing it for a really long time. And if you're kind of feeling that, like, oh, I'm getting a little, like, this is getting old, even if you're trying new races and it's just not feeling right, like try a trail run could really just like reignite it, like your love of running. And that's what I found. So like, I've been doing this for a long time and I want to keep doing it. That's always a plan. My grandpa the one runner in my life was my grandpa, and he ran into his 70s. And so I've always been it's more about, I want to be doing this for a long time. So I'm careful about like not overdoing it, but also just like figuring out what I can do to keep the love of running alive. And yeah, I think trails can really do that for you. And there's a variety of trails. It doesn't always have to be a total slog. It doesn't have to be 11 miles uphill. Yeah, it's just like a lot of fun getting out there, just like cruising on a nice day. Oh gosh, yeah, this is the best.
Thank you so much, Grace. I certainly appreciate it. You coming on and telling your story of, just how you came up, everything that's happened, and, just being an awesome neighbor and an awesome friend to us.
This has been so much fun. Yes. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Everyone's got a unique story, and I appreciate you sharing yours and your journey. And we look forward, Rob and I personally, seeing your journey. I'm sure we'll be at the finish line of your first 50K. Well, I might not be at the finish line before you because I might run the same race, but you will eventually gather at the finish line.
You might be dragging me across. I mean, who knows? The wheels could fall off. We never know.
Well, we appreciate it, Grace.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rob. Good to see you. Tell Beth I said hi.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Hobby Jogger. We hope you've enjoyed our conversation today. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support keeps us moving forward. Until next time, keep those feet moving and enjoy the mile.